I just want to get, it's July the 1st, Happy Canada Day. I really kind of hate that day now. Um, I went to get towels from a Salvation Army type of place. It's new, this little store, and the funny thing was, it's a store, and you can see this in the most recent bank statement I uploaded. It's called SPCA something. SPCA means Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. At first, I thought, well, maybe they're just fundraising for it. But I went in the store today and I saw the reality. What's happened over the last couple of days, I mean, this happens in waves, is there's some new people that have been given housing. And what they do is similar to, I'm going to walk now, so I'm going to move around. What they do is similar to Eastern Europe. Basically, when the Germans arrived, is the Poles had to leave their homes because the Germans were moving in, and so people basically lost their homes and everything as they fled east. Then, of course, as the Russians took over, the Russians moved west. So when we go to the Germans in the houses and say, okay, well, you have to leave now, the Russians are coming. The Poles are getting their houses back. So the Germans would have to pack up and leave and go back west. That's happening here. The humans are gone, and there's all these empty houses and things. So the new people are given housing. So they've moved in, a lot of them have moved into some of your places. And you'll find on the street, there are all these, I saw this first in Niagara Falls, and it's happened everywhere in Canada. You'll just find everything on the street corner. Like you'll find anything from couches, chairs, Christmas trees, clothes, toys, books, everything. What's happened, of course, here we'll go this way, it's quieter. What's happened, of course, is our homes have now been taken over, and the new inhabitants have moved in, and they're throwing out what they don't like, which was our stuff, and they're getting new stuff or doing whatever. There's a charity store near here, and last night, I should have copied it, but last night it had a sign in the front saying, please don't drop off any more books. We have thousands and thousands of books, and we can't carry them all. We have to throw them out, and we're only going to take books that are bestsellers or like cooking books or things like that. Well, the reason, of course, is these people are told, throw out all the books, throw out all the paper, throw out everything of wood in the house, get rid of it entirely, so Silber can work all over the place. So you see these signs all over the place, and so the stores are now, this store particularly said, don't leave us any books. So people have now moved in to your houses. So that brings up the question. I was in this place today at the SPCA store, and it's hit me, unfortunately. It's a joke. Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Animals, in this case, is us. Prevention of cruelty to animals, prevention of cruelty to humans. It's a big joke with them. They know what they're doing. They know that they're harming us, me. They know that they're torturing me. They know that they're making me suffer unbearably, and they think it's funny. They have no problem doing it, and that's why they keep doing it. It was a sobering little experience being in the store, realizing that. And I looked around the store, and there's just stuff everywhere. Excuse me. There's just like piles and piles of everything, from like forks, spoons, shower curtains, iPhones, rugs, towels, everything. You name it, it's in the store. It's like a secondhand store, but really super cheap. This stuff is all stuff that people have taken from our homes and just dumped in the corner, and these people have collected it and are trying to sell it to raise money to stop the cruelty against humans. I think to myself, oh my God, this is the worst I could ever imagine being in a situation in my life, being dumped in to a city with few, if any, other humans that I recognize, controlled by a whole bunch of insects or mammals that are not indigenous to the planet, meaning the planet did not create these through nature. these insects or creatures were created through Frankenstein method. So I'm trapped here. All these things hate me. They can communicate without me knowing. They can taser me without me being able to prevent it. And here I am alone. So, and then I wonder, well, what did happen to you 35 million? At the beginning, I went through all this, nuclear bomb, uh, some sort of a bacteria strain, some sort of super virus. All of this stuff went through my head. But, I left March 31st and it came back June 15th. So that means within 2.5 months, whatever happened, and 35 million people, or just take Toronto, for example, where I'm from, 4 million people in the metropolitan area suddenly had to disappear. Like they're all gone. So how can you get rid of 4 million people in 2.5 months? Can you logistically? Well, if you do the math, I can't remember the number, but just say 2 months, 4 million people, let's make it simple. That means 2 million people a month on average. 2 million people a month you have to kill and get rid of their bodies. So that means every week that you have to do, if you're doing 2 million a month, that means you have to do 500,000 a week. Can you kill and dispose of the bodies of 500,000 people per week for a period of 10 weeks? Can you do that? Is there any kind of a system that would allow you to murder and dispose of any remains within 2.5 months? It doesn't make sense. You can't do that. You can't kill any kind of natural way that way. So is there a gas? Well, no. This store had a book up that was for travel to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. That's what the name of the book was for this travel. Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Gas. So I'm supposed to believe that everybody was gassed to death. That also doesn't work. You can't just, this image of gassing. But in World War I, they found that gassing was highly ineffective because you can't predict a sudden winds, you can't predict a change in wind direction, and you can't predict a change in wind speed. So yes, it does work, but it's a highly ineffective tool. And quite often in war situations like that, it would backfire, literally, and the gas would end up going the wrong way, meaning towards your troops and not them. So how, again, is this really a way that you're going to get rid of all of these people? No, it doesn't make sense because you can't, I'm trying to find Shoppers Drug Mart. You can't gas people that quickly in a big city. It's just not an effective way. So we keep going back, all of these ways of figuring out, well, where did you all go? Well, there's so many that you couldn't have taken a plane. There's just way too goddamn many. There wouldn't even be enough trains or barely enough buses. The only way that you could get rid of 4 million people from Toronto in the course of 10 weeks, and that would be a lot of time, you didn't have that much time, is a Dunkirk. It would have to be, like I said in one of my original blogs, they got on any vehicle that they could find. A scooter, a motorcycle, a car, a truck, a bus, a van, an 18-wheeler, anything that had wheels that could get them out of the city as fast as possible, they jumped on. That's the only answer for where everybody went. Because the key there is there was no increase in stray and dog cats. In fact, in Toronto, there were no cats in the streets at all, or no dogs. There were no vermin anywhere, no noticeable rat infestations, nothing. If anything, there were no animals anywhere in Toronto when I was there. I'm just putting on my shirt. Hang on a minute. There were no animals there at all. So that brings up the question, well, where is everybody then? What happened to everybody? And we keep coming up to the same answer, which is the most logical answer. Sometimes it's the most simple. It's the one that's the answer. The easiest answer, the one with the least resistance, is the answer. The easiest answer is people just got on their fucking goddamn feet and walked. or they biked, or they took a scooter or whatever. But they had to do whatever they had to do to get away. They didn't have to go to Greenland. They just needed to get away from the cities. What we keep coming back to is there was no magic gas, there was no pandemonium, there was no superbugs, there was nothing. It was just a whole bunch of crackpot clones or insects, as I'm finding them, that just went crazy and everybody had to get the hell out of here. Everybody went as fast as they could, but they had to walk as much as possible or bike or provide their own transportation, or they might have had to get transportation or something to get part of the way and something part of the other way. But the SPCA, they know what they're doing. They know they hate us. They know they're cruel. They know they're starving me to death. They know that they're killing me, and they don't care. They don't care about any life at all, and they don't care about my life. And unfortunately, frankly, they've had a great ally in Canada because Canada's worked to my disadvantage. It's been like fighting a two-front war all the time. And I've never been able to rely on Canada once. Merely keeping me alive is one thing, but keeping me alive and watching me be sexually mutilated, starved, assaulted over 15 times, imprisoned, handcuffed over 50 times, like at what cost do you say, well, we're protecting you, you're alive, aren't you? Yeah, I'm alive, but at what cost? And is 7 criminal charges and sexual molestation and mutilation and assault and starvation, is that considered the price that has to be paid to be able to say that you kept me alive? If that's all you're measuring is whether I'm alive or not, you have a very poor set of parameters of what you're basing your decisions and your performance. This has been, without a doubt, the worst period of my entire life. Even physical abuse at my hands of my father for 10 years pales wildly in comparison to this. There was more love and affection in my life when I was being violently abused as a child than there has been here, from Canada or from without Canada. It was my birthday, which is really pretty much insignificant to many, and it is, but I've been here 3 years and there's not been one thing that Canada's done for me. How could my country have betrayed me 3 times, Judas, and left me like this? I cannot survive this any longer. Look at my arm. It's just, this is the most, this is just sad. My arm looks like a Holocaust victim. I have no, you've seen my body. I have no body fat at all. Like there's just nothing here. There's just nothing. This is just disgusting. I haven't eaten all weekend. It's holiday Monday, Canada Day. I haven't eaten anything all weekend. They've provided me no food. In fact, they stole more stuff on Friday night. They stole another bag that I bought and some more clothes, and they stole some cigarettes. They stole more stuff. Every fucking day with these idiots, they steal more stuff. So, where are you and what went on? Well, a bunch of crazy maniac Frankensteins went crazy, and y'all had it out, and I would have too. You made the right move. But where the hell are you? Well, I have a few options and a few ideas. Things are challenging. They are not human at all. They are not human at all. They are not even remotely human. Do not ever, ever, ever fall for the fact that they are kind, sweet people and they are doing something for you. Do not ever believe that they are out to kill you. And the SPCA is a little bit more of a joke than really is worth, because you basically told the whole world that you think that murdering humans and torturing them is funny. I think the United Nations Security Council should be notified about that immediately. Look on the bank statement that I just uploaded about half an hour ago. You'll see an entry from last week, SPCA and in some other name. They think that treating us cruelly and poorly is funny and worth a joke. You can see the result with me. I'm really challenged with staying alive right now. Those are some thoughts I had. There's this big question of the Dutch. It started when I went to PEI in April of 2016. There were some windmills hanging around. That's not a big deal, but this Dutch imagery about the boy who put his hand in the dike and prevented Amsterdam from flooding. There's this the old Dutch potato chips are everywhere. It's a big joke. There's a big thing about the falling ice cap and falling ice and buying ice and ice. They never go in the water. They never go in the ocean. I notice not only see the things you notice things subconsciously, but you don't actually realize all the conscious reasons. I noticed when I flew into Vancouver, there wasn't a single boat in the water, which is odd for a harbor town. There's something that you don't even notice a corollary with that. There are no people in the water either. These people do not like oceans. That doesn't make sense. What is it they don't like? They don't like salt water. So there's something in the salt that's corrosive to their skins or something. They don't go in the water at all. So there's that. When I was in Toronto, I stayed at a place down at U of T, the Tartu building. Right beside there is the Jan Martel Park. It's a small park. Jan Martel is the man who wrote The Life of Pi. And I think that was the book, if not another. I didn't read it. Sorry, Jan. About a man who was adrift in the ocean on a rowboat by himself for a couple of days or something. This is this ongoing joke that's been going on across the continent while I've been traveling. And there's something about the water here. The water levels are abnormally tepid, and there's less wave action in them than in Lake Ontario. That's one issue. The water has always felt bad to me. Something has felt odd about it. The other thing is I have checked tides for Vancouver area and other areas. So I've been checking tides, tides when low tide is and high tide is. And the difference between these, the interesting thing is the difference between low tide and high tide within like 6 hours. If this chart is correct, I'm to assume within 6 hours, 14 feet of water pours in from the ocean to the bay. 14 feet. The water rises 14 feet in about 6 to 8 hours. I've lived in coastal towns, but not all of my life. 14 feet rise in sea level in 6 to 8 hours seems extremely high. So I was getting on a sea bus to go to North Vancouver, and there was a woman who was an employee, city employee, and I asked her if she lived in Vancouver, and she said yes. So I said, is this normal? Am I reading this chart right? And she said, no, there's no way that the tides come in that high. They do that in the Bay of Fundy, apparently because of the topography and whatnot in the area. Subtle, huh? Because of the topography in the area, Bay of Fundy has apparently some of the largest tides in the world. Not Vancouver. Vancouver should only go up maybe 3 or 4 feet, this woman is saying. If you look at these charts that I've been shown on the internet, the water comes in at 14 feet in 6 to 8 hours. There's a fundamental problem with the water tides here. There's a fundamental problem with some sort of a breakwater. I have not gone on the water once. There's something very odd with the fact that I have not gone on the water once. Imagine living here with this. Just imagine living in this. Just imagine. There's something wrong with the water. There's something holding water back. And there's a big joke that I'm supposed to get in the water. I'm supposed to get in a rowboat or something. Or even, flippers. And I'm going to find all these boats out there all of a sudden. And all these people are going to take me to freedom. Apparently there's something more to it with the tides and with the water. And what I'm supposed to believe, if I'm hearing other words or other messages, is if I go out in the water by myself in a boat or try to swim around to find anything, I'm going to have maybe 15 minutes before a tidal wave comes in. So those are all the options I've got to try to find my way to get out of that. Get me the fuck out of here because I will be dead within hours if I stay in this place any longer.